Hey guys. Um okay, so the first topic I'd like to talk about is success. And it's really interesting, the paradigm shift, I guess you could say, that I've had lately regarding success. We all have an idea of what success looks like, but the fact of the matter is, let me start with this. I always thought that success was objective, and that there was this thing that was success, and either you got there or you didn't. And I thought that success was a very broad, that it basically was the same for everyone. Now, I've come to realize that is not at all the case. Not only is it not the case for different individuals, it's also the case for the same individual at different points in their life. So what I'm trying to say is that success is very much subjective and has a lot to do with your own goals, your own purpose for being here. You were created for a purpose, and the person and your neighbor, the person that lives right beside you, may have been created for a completely different purpose. Therefore, your objectives in life, and therefore your success, is going to be much different. So, why do I say that? I say that because we often have this idea of what success is based on others around us, what they're doing, how successful or unsuccessful they perceive themselves to be, and keeping up with the Joneses. We see, hey, the neighbor's got a pool put in. Well, if I don't get a pool put in, I'm not successful. Well, that's not the case, obviously. And what's so interesting about it is we beat ourselves up when we don't meet the mark that other people have set for us, more or less. We can also be condemned by family members or, quote, friends, co-workers, for not meeting the mark, whatever the mark is that they have set. And that can lead ultimately to us having a very negative self-talk start going. And that's detrimental, obviously. And so what I'm trying to say is, in this short video, there's so much we could talk about regarding success and how we view success. But it's very important that we clearly define success. Biblically speaking, we really have to be careful how we define success. As a Christian, as a believer, we have to be very careful as to how we define success, because we can define success by, say, being rich. And the Bible's pretty clear. It's not a sin to be rich. It's a blessing. But if we're chasing riches all day, every day, and that's all we think about, we're obviously missing the mark. You understand what I'm saying? So, be very careful as to how you define success. Just one example of how misleading our definition of success can be. I know it's happened to me. It's probably happened to you. I have a definition of what success looks like. I accomplish whatever it is that I think success is. It could be buying a house. It could be buying a boat. It could be having a car. It could be paying off something. It could be whatever it is. It could be, for me, success was getting a job at the fire department. This was years ago. Success was getting a job at the fire department. I got that job. I was so excited about getting that job. It wasn't 6 months later after getting that job when I realized, I like it. It's great. I appreciate it. it's not quite what I thought it would be. So what do? You manufacture a new definition of success. Have you ever had buyer's remorse? Have you ever bought something and you said, when I get that thing, then I'll be successful, right? You're so excited, you get emotionally involved, you buy the thing. Then you get it home and you realize, dang, I don't know if that was a good decision. Instantly you realize your definition of success was wrong. So we can do it to ourselves. We can also let other people's definition of success skew our vision and our trajectory, and we can totally miss the mark by misdefining what success is. So my encouragement for today is be very careful how you define success, and realize that success biblically is living in the center of God's will and doing what He's got you here to do. Really, that's the bottom line. We get really caught up in things, stuff, material possessions. We think that if we have a house or a nice house, that we're successful. If we have a nice car, we're successful. Don't get me wrong, those things are great to have, and in some ways, they can be markers of success. If you run a business and you make good profits and you're able to buy nice things, yeah, that is success to a degree. But just be careful, because you can very easily misdefine success, and success to God might be a whole lot different than the way you have defined it. Just be careful. It's also important, I think, to compartmentalize success in different areas of your life. You may be totally successful in business, and you may be failing miserably with your family. So it's important to keep the balance, like we talk about. Relationships with other people are very, very important. And you can step on a lot of people and commit many, many sins on the way to your perception of success. Another thing I'll touch on real quick, and there's so much we could talk about, it's insane, regarding this topic and how we view success. But another thing to think about is it goes both ways, up and down, I guess you could say. So you can view someone who is, quote, successful, who has so many material possessions, and they seem so happy, and they have so much. But are they really successful? What's their marriage look like? What's their relationship with their kids look like? What's the relationship with their family look like? Are they really happy? Are they really doing what God's got them here to do? That's really a question that deep down I think they can answer, and only God can answer in the end. So you can look at them and say, man, they're successful. I wish I could be there. Well, do you? I mean, you're on your journey, doing what God's got you here to do. Don't covet. Also, we'll say the flip side of that is you could look down on someone and say, well, my vehicle's nicer than their vehicle, and my house is nicer than their house, and I got more money in the bank than they do. I must be real successful. Not necessarily. You got to be careful. There again, you got to look deeper than the surface when we're defining success. These people might be happier. They may have more joy. They may have better relationships with their spouse, with their family. There's a lot to success. Don't be narrow-minded in your vision of success. Success isn't defined by the amount of stuff that someone has. A lot of people are in a lot of debt to impress people they don't even really care about. And you come along and you see all their stuff and you say, boy, he's doing really well. I wish I could be like him. Don't be so quick to say that in your mind. It's a trap. It's a trap. we got to get better about focusing on our journey, where we're at, and being better day by day. Not measuring ourselves on someone else's, quote, success, but on our own success. We have to kind of look inward on that. There's many reasons why we have to do that. One of which, there's so many reasons, and there's, like I said, there's so much we can talk about on this, but different people have so many different attributes and skills or talents, or they may have inherited money. There's so many things. We really got to focus on, I'd say, two main things. One, define success for yourself based on what God's got you here to do. And I'll be honest, that's not necessarily easy. Finding out your purpose here can be a serious struggle. And it can put you in a position where you may have to leave your current employment. You may have to move. You may have to make some radical life changes if you're going to get to where God wants you. And I'm speaking from experience on that. But there's a lot of freedom that comes from the obedience of listening to that. And honestly, to get to a point in prayer and just seeking His will is a journey in and of itself. So you got to get to that point where you're seeking Him and His will for your life, and you're earnest in prayer, and you're willing, on the flip side, to be obedient to what He's calling you to do. Otherwise, why would He even bother showing you and telling you in His own way where He's wanting you to go, what He's wanting you to do, if you're not willing to be obedient? You gotta be willing to lay down your life, ultimately, to follow whatever it is He's got for you. So, be careful as to how we define success. Be willing to pray about God's guidance and wisdom and leading. And then thirdly, be willing to be obedient. If you're not willing to be obedient, really don't even start the process. You know, you're not going to knock on a door if you're not willing to have it open and walk through it. If you're not willing to walk through the door, don't even bother knocking, right? I'm not saying that's easy. It can take some time. I only speak from experience, but it can take some time to get to a point where you're willing to let go of some things before you can move forward into the next phase, the next journey. And I think that's a perpetual thing through life. I can only speak really on one instance in my life where I had to really make a huge leap. But through that, I learned that, hey, you know what? Wherever He's got you in life, it's just a phase. I mean, everything we do is just a phase. This whole life is just a phase, really. So, that's my encouragement for the day. Define success. Be careful how you define success. Seek what He's wanting for you, how He's wanting to use you and your skills and your talents and your attributes, and be willing to be obedient to that. It's huge. It's a big deal, and it can take time, but it's worth it in the end. There's a lot of freedom, a lot of peace that comes from that. And this is something that I haven't mastered, because I feel like it's a journey. It's a constant process until we're done here. Anyway, that being said, thank y'all for watching this. If you like it, like it. If you hate it, let me know why. Let's talk about it. I'd like to talk more on this topic. It's kind of an overview, but I hope that blesses someone and gives you some things to think about. And I guess that's all I got. Thank y'all.